Hello and welcome to United Report. This is your home for all the latest Manchester United news, match updates, transfer stories, and in-depth analysis. Stay connected and never miss a moment. Subscribe now to stay ahead with everything happening at Old Trafford. Manchester United would have to stump up around £50 million if they want to sign Crystal Palace forward Jean-Philippe Mateta, according to reports. The 27-year-old has been in superb form for Oliver Glasner's side, scoring 6 goals in his last 5 Premier League games and turning the heads of Europe's elite in the process. According to The Sun, Lyon are now keeping tabs on the Frenchman in a move that would be controversial, given that the club's owner John Textor is the largest shareholder at Palace. The report says a number of Premier League sides are chasing Mateta, but that any club who wants to sign him will have to pay £50 million at least for a player who is only getting better at Selhurst Park after reaching 42 goals in total since joining in 2021. Last season, Mateta hit 19 goals in all competitions, and United were tipped to sign the striker by Paul Merson amid their struggles up front. United signed Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna this season, but the Dutchman has had trouble adapting to life at Old Trafford with just 5 goals, while Rasmus Højlund has 7 in total. Amorim even tried playing Kobbie Mainoo as a false 9, ironically, in a 2-0 home loss to Palace, where Mateta scored a fantastic brace. Merson told Sky Sports this week, "Man United should get Mateta. That's what they need. He's a strong lad up front, playing at the top of his game. He leads the line. Scoring goals now. He runs and works his socks off harder than anyone you know. He's 100 times better than anyone Man ought to have in the front line. Not Amad Diallo. He's a young kid, but he's much better than Højlund and Zirkzee at the moment." It comes after Spanish outlet Fichajes claimed Barcelona are also interested, seeing the forward as an alternative to first-choice Robert Lewandowski. His contract expires in 2027, and is not the only Palace player being chased ahead of a possible summer move, with defender Mark Guehi being linked with an exit after the club rejected a bid from Tottenham in January. Manchester United are continuing to keep tabs on Matheus Cunha, with the Wolves star inserting a release clause into his new deal. The forward remains the leading light at Molineux and was heavily linked with the exit door in January, but ultimately chose to remain and penned a new deal which tied him down until 2029. That hasn't stopped admirers circling, however, as he continues to perform. United were among those who considered making a move last month as they sought a goalscorer. Cunha also remains on the radar of Tottenham, with the two teams monitoring him closely, reports AS come June. Cunha will be available for around £60 million. That fee is set regardless of whether Wolves remain in the top flight or drop down to the Championship. Either way, the figure is more than achievable for a number of potential suitors. Wolves continued to reject any interest they received in the new year. Arsenal were keen, whilst Nottingham Forest were prepared to part with a club record fee to land the forward, but Cunha's club never considered selling. His new deal was announced after he helped Wolves overcome Aston Villa in a Midlands derby. He scored as they secured a 2-0 victory, which aided their survival hopes, and new head coach Vitor Pereira said the former Atletico Madrid forward is committed to the club and their ambitions. Pereira said he knows in the future he can play for the best teams in England, but he's committed with us. He has the conscience that it is very important, if he leaves, to leave the club in the Premier League. He has this quality. He is a special player. He has the quality to get the ball and create a goal alone. Wolves initially signed Cunha on loan from Atletico in December 2022 in a deal that had the potential to reach £35 million. If he were to leave, they would make a sizable profit. Those in Manchester are more likely to initially pursue Sporting Lisbon's Victor Gyökeres, but will no doubt consider a move for Cunha if they cannot land the Swede. Amorim signed Gyökeres when he was at Sporting, and there is an expectation that he will look to reunite with the player. The tune from the away section half an hour in at Anfield was familiar Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. The name wasn't. That 6-syllable chorus had long been reserved for "Oh, Robin van Persie" among Manchester United supporters. Last month, a different Dutchman was serenaded to the song. Joshua Zirkzee's warm-up in the first half at Liverpool marked a sea change. A week that had started with one of the most galling humiliations for a United player at Old Trafford ended with vocal support. It could have got better had Harry Maguire kept Zirkzee's bobbly square pass down in added time. It did get better a week later in the FA Cup third round at Arsenal. After Lenny Yoro converted in the shootout to put United 3-1 up, Bruno Fernandes prodded Zirkzee in the chest and offered him a few words. The message: be ready to win it. Lisandro Martinez scored United's fourth spot kick, so Zirkzee stepped up for the fifth. United fans had promised, if Zirkzee scores, we're on the pitch. Zirkzee held up his end of the bargain. United were in the velvet bag for the fourth round draw and the fifth. Their progress to the last 16 of the FA Cup is largely down to Zirkzee's impact against Leicester City on Friday night. He equalised, and his general play ensured United rendered the memory of the stultifying first hour inconsequential. The 23-year-old is becoming an unlikely cult figure at United. The loyalists among the matchgoers railed against the heckles and booing Zirkzee was subjected to when he was removed in the 33rd minute against Newcastle, and now a match does not go by without an airing of Zirkzee's chant. He has only got 5 goals in 36 appearances, and Zirkzee has failed to score in 32 of those. But it is one more than Radamel Falcao and as many as Alexis Sanchez. One hopes for Zirkzee's sake this is the only time he is bracketed with those two duds. Even before his career nadir against Newcastle, a well-placed figure at United stressed the club was intent on supporting Zirkzee and hopeful there was a lot more to come. We are starting to see glimpses. Zirkzee has been a contentious figure in a sorry season. He was the lightning rod that legislated for Dan Ashworth's defenestration as sporting director. Club figures claim Zirkzee was not an Erik Ten Hag-led signing, and Ashworth bristled when the deal was questioned during his sole interaction with the dedicated correspondents in September. Ten Hag had no direct connection with Zirkzee, but nor did he with Tyrell Malacia or Wout Weghorst. Nearly a quarter of the Dutchmen who have played for United were signed on Ten Hag's watch. The Newcastle night could have been a career killer for Zirkzee. Interest from Italian clubs seeking a cut price move for a player proven in Serie A soon emerged. Carrington sources say Zirkzee pushed back against the possibility of a mid-season move and was adamant he would stay. Zirkzee is popular in the United dressing room and has an easygoing sense of humour, which helped in the aftermath of the Newcastle substitution. United insiders say he did not feel sorry for himself or cry in a corner. He had to be coaxed back out to the dugout, having headed straight down the tunnel after he fetched a coat. Some supporters booed Zirkzee when he disappeared from view. After he re-emerged, there was encouraging applause as some sought to counter those who had audibly turned against him. Zirkzee was on the pitch at full time to applaud supporters in defeat. Zirkzee's presence helps. He is 6 feet 4 inches, and figures at United talk about him being seen rather than heard. Zirkzee has been a laconic interviewee on his 2 stop-offs in the Old Trafford mix zone. He is not a demonstrative character, a club source said. In the days after the Newcastle defeat, those at the United training complex noticed Zirkzee was affected by his substitution, as any player would be. But his calmness has been apparent since his first day in Manchester, and he is regarded as a quietly determined character with an underrated steeliness. Zirkzee is never seen out and about in Cheshire. There has been a willingness from United staff for Zirkzee to succeed. He has gritted his teeth and got on with it since the turn of the year, producing influential performances in vital triumphs against Arsenal, Southampton and Leicester City on Friday. Nobody, least of all Zirkzee, is pretending he has cracked it. Ruben Amorim immediately substituted Zirkzee against Bournemouth in December after he lost an aerial duel, and he has not started in United's past 4 games. Of the 2 strikers, Zirkzee is more sellable than Højlund. He cost roughly half the price, and there is a market for him in Italy. He may yet be one season and done at United, who will target a goalscorer in the summer. The Leicester goal ended a drought of 11 goalless games, and Zirkzee went 17 without scoring between August and December. Whether he is a number 9, a 10, or whatever, he has got to pump his numbers up. After booking their place in the 5th round of the FA Cup on Friday night, focus now switches back to the Premier League for Manchester United. As a result of automatically qualifying for the Europa League last 16, United have the rare luxury of a clear midweek this week, meaning they are not in action again until Sunday, facing Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Despite recently progressing in the FA Cup and in the Europa League, United's league form has been terrible in recent weeks, highlighted by a run of 5 defeats in their last 8 matches. They were beaten 2-0 by Crystal Palace at Old Trafford in their last league outing. With an extended period of time to prepare for the trip to Spurs on offer this week, head coach Ruben Amorim will be hoping a full week on the training ground will be worth its weight in gold. The players were put through their paces at Carrington on Monday, and below are 5 things that we picked out from the training session. To go straight into the first team, youngster Aidan Heaven made the bench for Friday night's win over Leicester. He arrived from Arsenal, having made just 1 competitive appearance in senior football, but United have high hopes he can become a first-team regular at Old Trafford. With Lisandro Martinez facing a spell on the sidelines with an ACL injury, United need all the options they can get at centre-back, meaning Heaven's first opportunity might come along sooner than he originally anticipated. Fellow January recruit Patrick Dorgu made his United debut on Friday night, starting and storing 45 minutes under his belt. Much to almost everybody's surprise, the former Lecce man started at right wing back, but Amorim explained his thinking behind the decision post-match. The Dane's next aim will be to build up his minutes and add to the 45 he stored under his belt against Leicester. He trained on Monday and pulled his snood over his mouth and nose to try and adjust to the Manchester temperatures at this time of year. Despite making the bench for each of United's last 4 matches, Victor Lindelof has not featured since he was forced off at half-time in the 4-3 Carabao Cup defeat to Tottenham Hotspur on December 19th. The Swede is likely to leave Old Trafford in the summer amid the fact he is out of contract, but Martinez's injury has left United a man light. After being included in each of the last 4 matchday squads, the Swede's next ambition is to try and get some minutes under his belt. Rasmus Højlund looked deeply frustrated during the win over Leicester, as another goalless game extended his dry spell in front of goal to 14 matches. The Dane has experienced a testing time this season, and you sense he is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders every time he takes to the field. However, he appeared to in a jovial mood in Monday's training session, donning a grin on his face, suggesting he is remaining relaxed. Everyone is hoping he can end his barren spell as quickly as possible. With the Turkish transfer window still open until Tuesday evening, there is still a chance Casemiro could go before the bell sounds. The Brazilian midfielder has recently been linked with Besiktas amid his recent reduction in opportunities at Old Trafford. Things can change quickly in the closing stages of any transfer window, but his involvement in Monday's training session at Carrington would suggest he is going nowhere.